great place. As long as you like the snow and dry heat, you like Salt Lake.
As the capital city, we have state offices. We're the headquarters of a global religion, and we have some large universities. So our daytime population doubles. So while we provide services to residents and such, we also provide services to a lot of workforce, federal, state, and other institutional uses in our community. Salt Lake City was very disconnected in how we managed operations, how we managed capital. We were struggling to ask for the right resources. We had 4 or 5 different groups without real consistent communications, asking and competing for the same resources. There was no way to really carry the work between one or the other. And from a data point of view, it didn't work. And from a communications and just, making common investments and strategies, it wasn't working, which then led to decisions really being made around squeaky wheels versus good financial planning. The Cartograph build brought the groups together so that we could tell a common story.
One thing that I'm really happy and proud of for facilities is that we've been able to connect with other departments. We have something in common now.
Just overall efficiency and clarity within different work groups as well. Like between us and engineering, between us and transportation, we can see all the same things. If they send us a work order, it's in Cartograph, we can look through it together, we can fix problems, we can make adjustments to assets, we can find things a lot easier. Before, if you would have told me, how many speed limit signs are in Salt Lake City, it would take me a long time. Now with Cartograph, I can tell you in 5 minutes.
We're finding a lot of efficiencies in having that common structure, but I really think the problem we're solving really is the guided investment that we can make in our assets and telling the story accurately about just the conditions of our assets and what it's going to take to make the improvements to get us where we would like to be.
We've got all of it nailed down to how many beads and how much paint we use per crosswalk, price of blanks that you see behind you, or the material that we use to print it out. We're able to accurately track all that, so that helps because it shows how much it is actually costing. We've been able to accurately track our price increases for things and be able to show that to City Council, which has been able to give us budget increases, as well as we're actually going to be adding some new employees that we've been asking for a while, but when we were able to show data, that's helped.
Actually see the cost that we're putting out each day is huge. It's telling a story of how much things are actually costing, and if we're requesting more funds, it's given us a leg to stand on to get those funds.
One of the things I like about Cartograph is that we can say, here's where it is in space, here's where it is in the city. That helps to make all districts of the city more appropriately represented with our maintenance dollars. The switch to Cartograph has allowed us to distribute work throughout the city, better attack the roads that are prime for maintenance treatment and preserve those roads longer, which means we then can focus our dollars for reconstruction in a more effective way. And so because of that, we get a really high degree of return for the dollars that we spend every single construction season.
There was a windstorm. We lost over 100 trees at the Salt Lake City Cemetery alone. Old, 100-plus-year-old trees. We were able to track all of our costs, whether that be the equipment we were using, all of the labor hours, and because of the reporting functionality in Cartograph and the depth that we can use that with, we were able to create a really simple custom report that showed labor logs, equipment logs for all of those FEMA activities, and then we submitted that to FEMA and we were reimbursed. To have those different rates automatically load depending on the event has been a lifesaver to us.
There's been a lot of really strong automations developed in the city. We run a lot of automatic exports for Power BI dashboards or just for archiving data so that we have a record for troubleshooting and for analysis. And those pieces, I think, are a big addition to our functionality.
A request comes in from the public and they want to see something that's being done. Now with Cartograph, the public can actually get an email when something's been completed. And with the old system, they had no idea what we were doing. It was more of just for the employees.
So Salt Lake City, one of their initiatives long ago was to make sure that graffiti was removed wherever it is in the city and however it happens. So that graffiti team goes out every day and removes graffiti all over the city. We have an average turnaround of under 24 hours with our graffiti team. They're one of our most efficient groups in the city. We have different applications that we use to have people report graffiti to us. We have one called City Sourced and another one called Salesforce. And we've been able to implement a passover so that all of our graffiti requests go from City Sourced through Salesforce to Cartograph as requests in Cartograph. Once those requests are created, Orlando, our graffiti supervisor, goes to those requests, creates tasks from those requests, and then assigns them to our staff. Once he assigns those tasks, that's really the last thing that we have to do, because automations are set up so that once that task is complete, it closes the request for us, and then it pushes back into City Sourced and closes that request as well.
It was a big transition to move from this sort of isolated desktop environment to a cloud-based or premises server-based deployment that then could be accessed through a mobile app. And so that's where we've seen some massive increases in functionality. Is our field techs are able to go out and perform inspections and track work and take photos, and then we'll see them very quickly in real time and be able to track progress much more rapidly.
The capture feature has been incredibly helpful for the guys. It's tough when they're out in the field and they have to go and purchase some supplies to then keep track of the receipt and make sure it gets handed in, and for them to be able to take a picture of it right away in the field and attach it to the asset or the task is incredibly helpful, a time saver, and it helps with accountability.
You don't even have to worry about remembering what you did all day. If you're doing your Cartograph through the day, you're just going along, and by the end of the day you should have your hours and all your materials and equipment usage, everything. I can go into a task or into an asset, which would be an intersection, and I can look up the previous tasks right on my phone. I don't have to, before it would have been a paper trouble call sheet in a book somewhere in a cabinet. Then that's actually really helpful for diagnosing a current issue. If it's going to be a repeat issue, something else is probably going on. That way we're not replacing the same item over and over again without realizing that there's a bigger issue going on that we're just not seeing.
So reactive maintenance happens, equipment fails, and things wear out. With our preventative maintenance program, it allows us to head off a lot of those failures. Cartograph allows us to see the lifespan, and it allows us to see the maintenance schedule. And this is also showing us where we are falling short on doing what we need to do, because we have a very accurate trail of the work that's done, and the note fields on all the closed tasks allow us to see a history of what has actually been done on the unit. And if we can plan on replacing a unit before it fails, we decrease the downtime of that unit being down and inconveniencing the customers in our building.
We have around 40,000 signs in the city, and then on the paint side, we've got about 3,700 crosswalks, stop bars, approach bars. Every year we perform maintenance inspections. We try to touch every single one of those assets, check that they're good, the reflectivity is good, the sign's good. If they're damaged, we replace them. At first it was kind of difficult because we had to get a lot of data. Like I said, we have thousands of assets out there, and marking it together was a project, and a lot of people helped on that, and a lot of hard work. But the more that I saw what Cartograph was doing and the easier that I could do everything with, the easier it's becoming. The fact that we've actually gone through and physically touched and done maintenance inspections on more than 40,000 signs in the city is pretty cool. We only got about 12 people.
The Cartograph support team's been super supportive in everything that we've done. And the one thing that I've noticed with Cartograph is they actually try and implement the things that we suggest. I've never seen a company that actually is this responsive to ideas that their customers have. I would say that this has been the most effective way for us to perform asset management at a high level.
Especially in the last couple of years, our parks and public spaces have really been used. And so we're making life better in that respect because we are more efficient in the resources that we have.
We're constantly adapting with it. We're constantly doing new filters, constantly figuring new ways to do things, changing up assets.
If you've got a bunch of disconnected databases and some of them are on old systems, some of them are on Excel spreadsheets, you're not going to get to that future state that you want without setting that foundation. So that's what I would say is Cartograph sets a really solid foundation.